welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about the major pentatonic scale, so stay tuned. Alright, let's get into it. So I had another video about the minor pentatonic scale. It's probably going to be up here somewhere. You can check that out if you haven't already. I recommend learning that scale shape first before we get into the major side. I don't know if difficult is the word, but it's different enough, and I would say maybe a little more challenging to memorize. But theoretically, really, same notes, just different position of the fretboard. So check that video out if you haven't, and then come back to this one, and we'll dive into it. Okay, so what is the major pentatonic? Well, it's a 5-note scale, just like it sounds. It is more major than the minor. What makes something major or minor tends to be the third. Sometimes we can also think about the 7th note of the scale. So when you play the minor pentatonic scale, the first 2 notes you hear is the root note. This example is the 5th fret, and then the minor third on the 8th fret. And that gives it a very distinct sound. When we play the major pentatonic, which will actually end up starting on the 8th fret, we hear this sound, this slightly happier series of intervals, well, this one interval. And that's really where the name comes from, because it's really the same notes as the minor, just in a different place. So you could think of it modally, but people tend to think this is the major 5-note scale, and I'll leave it at that for now. So how do we play this thing? Quite simply, we just start where the minor ended on that low E string. So if we're talking about A minor, like I showed in the other video, then we'll end up on the 8th fret, this C note, a favorite of mine because I like to teach the natural notes. And we'll start it with our middle finger. So low E, 8th fret, middle finger, and then we're going to use the pinky on the 10th fret of that same low E string. I'm trying to do this in a way that you can see the fretboard without my fingers covering, but it's 8th fret middle, 10th fret pinky, and that's it for the low E. It's going to be very similar to the minor shape in that we're going to do 2 notes per string. So on the next string, the A string, this time we do a familiar pattern, index, and then pinky, which is going to be 7th fret, and then 10th fret. Okay, we'll work our way down to the D string. We'll do the exact same thing, index and pinky. This gives us our last 2 notes, and now that pinky note is the octave of the C that we started on, of our 8th fret of the low E string. So from root to octave, we have 5 notes plus the new C note. We have 8, 10, 7, 10, 7, 10. That's the beginning of the major pentatonic scale. Well, we keep it going. So things change on the high strings, the tenor strings, the G, B, and the E. And now we go index ring. This is 7th fret, 9th fret. And then we're going to go back to that original middle pinky shape that we did on the low E for the B string and the high E string. So again, we're on the G string now. 7th fret, index, ring finger goes on the 9th fret, B string, middle finger on the 8th fret, 10th fret pinky, and then same thing on the E string, middle finger 8th fret, 10th fret pinky. At this point, technically we have surpassed the 2nd octave because we know our low E 8th fret is a C, and this high E 8th fret would be that second C note above the root, rather. It's the second octave. So if we're going to the 10th fret, we're on the D note now. We're above the octave of the root. But I like to do this, that way I can keep 2 notes on every string. So if you wanted to be, I don't know if Puritan is even the right word, but if you wanted to do this from root to the same note octave, then you would only play from the 8th fret, and you would end on the 8th fret, and then you could descend if you wanted to, and just go from C to C. I like to add the other note because it's kind of fun to feel like we're still going somewhere else, and then to come back down to the root and hear how the C and the D play with one another. So I like to have fun with that, and again, 2 notes per string. Just for my mind, it tends to be easier to memorize than everything is 2 except the last one, and then in some other shapes maybe we would have a similar experience. So if we put it all together, we've got, I'm just going to say fingers because we're not leaving this position. The index finger owns the 7th fret, middle owns 8, ring owns 9, and pinky owns 10. And we don't shift up or down for this, which is another reason why it's such a good shape to learn. So we're going to start middle pinky, and then we go index pinky, index ring, middle pinky, middle pinky. And then I like to do that in reverse: pinky middle, ring index, pinky index, pinky index, pinky middle. Sounds like this. Back down. It's the major pentatonic scale. That is on my website. All you need to do is check the link in the description below. It'll send you right to a page. You will have to do a little searching. Type in pentatonic, type in major, type in scale. You may get a few results, and the minor scale from the video I mentioned earlier and this scale are on the same piece of music. So if you didn't watch it, it's right there for you anyway. If you did, it'll be a good refresher, and then you can tie this one in with it. So have a lot of fun with this. Take time with it if you need. Restart the video, back up and pause, and leave me a comment if you have any questions. I'll get back to you. Take care.